Hello, Sheila ma'am.
Annette, I'm here, Annette.
Ma'am?
Annette, I'm here.
Ma'am, I'm Sharmila here.
Sharmila, I've joined Sharmila.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Break time, ma'am.
Oh,
We'll just wait for them to join, ma'am.
okay, Sharmila, you let me know.
Okay, ma'am. Mary ma'am. Mary ma'am, can you hear me?
Thank you. Bye. I can hear you. I couldn't unmute myself. Now I can. Thanks so much.
Okay. Ma'am, you're saying few words, ma'am. Welcome address.
Yeah, ma, just about a minute, not even a minute. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Annette. Annette.
Good afternoon, Sheila.
Hi, Mary. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, okay. I'll call you.
Yeah. Mary, the resource person is Shyamala, no?
Dr. Shobana. Dr. S. Shobana.
Dr. Shyamala.
Shobana.
Okay.
Shobana.
Okay. I've written it down.
Yeah. Okay. You're saying the prayer, Sheila?
Yes, Mary. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Mary. Mary.
Yes, Sheila. Can you hear me?
It's just 2:45 only, no?
Yeah. But assembly, no, the girls will assemble like that only late.
Ma'am, 2:45, ma'am. They finish their break and come in.
Ama.
அதனால ஒரு 5-10 minutes, ma'am, please, ma'am.
No problem.
Okay. இல்ல, I was wondering whether there's something wrong.
இல்ல, ma'am. இல்ல, ma'am.
Hello, Mary.
Yes, Sheila.
Mary.
Hello.
Shobana, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible? No. Very clear. You are able to see me?
Yes, ma'am. All fine.
Okay then.
Welcome.
Share screen. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
It is visible, ma'am.
So it is a full screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, shall I start?
No, ma'am. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, ma'am.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
then.
ma'am.
So it is a presenter's view you are seeing, right? Like the full screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Not more than that.
Ma'am, we will begin the program, ma'am.
Sure, sure.
Sheila, ma'am. Mary, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Here.
Okay. Good evening. We will begin today's online webinar on Millets, a boon for all, with God's blessings. I invite Dr. Sheila John, Head of PG Department of Home Science, to lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, our loving Heavenly Father, we come into your presence. We thank you and praise you for the gift of education and knowledge, for the opportunities you give us to study. We thank you for our resource person, Dr. Shobana. I pray that you would bless her. And even as she presents to us about millets, I pray that it will be a blessing to each one of our students. Thank you for being with us. We give you all the glory and honor. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. I invite Dr. Mary Pramila, Head of the UG Department of Home Science, to propose the welcome address.
Good afternoon. We welcome you all to this special lecture on millets, a boon for all. This is the first of a series of programs that we of the Home Science Department have planned to mark the International Year of the Millets 2023. Now, millets have been a part of our traditional diet in India for many, many years, but have been neglected because of the shift in our dietary preferences. It was considered the poor man's staple, but now is becoming an attractive and very desirable dietary component. Millets are a sustainable food option and are one of the most nutritious and non-allergenic grains available. They are an excellent source of nutrition, and some millets can even be considered superfoods. So we are going to hear today about millets and their health benefits, and to share her knowledge and research evidence, we have Dr. Shobana Shanmugam. She's the senior scientist and head of the Department of Diabetes Food Technology. And this is at Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center, MDRF, Madras Diabetes Research Foundation. So on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to welcome Dr. S. Shobana. And we are very happy and honored and privileged, ma'am, to have you come and share with us about millets, a boon for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's my privilege as the Dean of Student Services to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. Shobana. She has pursued her PhD in the Department of Grain Science and Technology at Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore. After her doctoral research, she joined Madras Diabetes Research Foundation in 2009 and is currently a senior scientist and head leading the Department of Diabetes Food Technology. She has received grants from Indian Council of Medical Research, Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. She is a certified diabetes educator and has been delivering awareness talks. Her core areas of research include grain science and technology, food chemistry, nutritional biochemistry, new product development. She has authored more than 35 publications, including original research articles, book chapters, and reviews. 4 students are pursuing their doctoral research under supervision in the University of Madras. We are very happy to have you here, ma'am. Over to Dr. Shobana.
Thank you, ma'am, for the kind introduction, and my special thanks to Sheila, ma'am, and Dr. Annette for giving this wonderful opportunity to present on millets, which is my area of interest as well. And starting from my PhD days, I have been working on millets, and it gives me pleasure to present our findings to this august audience. And moving on to the presentation, to give a brief introduction, Madras Diabetes Research Foundation was established in the year 1996 by Padma Shri Dr. V. Mohan, along with his wife, late Dr. Rema V. Mohan, with an intention to provide world-class environment for research in diabetes and its complications. And we have been networking with several national and international organizations, and we have several departments starting from diabetology, cell and molecular biology, molecular genetics, to foods, nutrition, and dietetics research. And also, I come from Diabetes Food Technology Department, which is a recently evolved department. And I work with foods, nutrition, and dietetics research for several of my research areas. We integrate together. And moving on to the presentation. And the flow of my talk would be, I would be covering what exactly the millets are and the nutritional and health benefits of millets and the need for incorporation of millets in our Indian diets. And also being an organization which is focusing on diabetes research, I'd be showcasing some of our findings in the area of nutrition research, especially in the area of low glycemic index foods. And I would also be showcasing some of the food products that we have developed out of millets, and would also be showcasing the evidences from some of the clinical trials that we have conducted out of millets. And I would be concluding with the take-home messages and the acknowledgements. And moving on, like what are millets? Millets are not new, and they have been in our Indian diets since ancient times. And there are several evidences stating that millets have been have been in use even since Indus Valley civilization. And we have several millets which are in usage in India, and we have different categories, which are the small millets. These millets are known for their smaller sizes, and finger millet, kodo millet, foxtail, proso, little, and barnyard millet come under this category. And major millets are the millets which are majorly used in our diets, especially the sorghum is also a great millet. It is termed as the great millet, which is again a millet. And sorghum is nothing but the jowar. And jowar, pearl millet, and finger millet are major millets. And we have 5 minor millets, which is the foxtail millet, proso, little, kodo, and the barnyard millet. And as mentioned earlier, United Nations have declared 2023 as the International Year of Millets in order to create awareness on millets and to promote this nutritious nutri-cereal millet in our daily diets. And as you all see here, this is the millet map of India, and you have different kinds of millet that have been domesticated in different regions of India. And India is almost contributing to 20% of the global production of millets. And India produces almost 170 lakh tons of millets as per the statistics provided in the year 2021. And still the production keeps increasing year by year. And to highlight the nutritional properties of millets, millets are nutritious as compared to polished white rice and refined wheat in terms of containing higher levels of vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber. And this is again the amino acid profile. Essential amino acids are the amino acids that needs to be provided in the diet. And there are unique amino acids which are rich in each kind of a millet. And we have several vitamins that are unique to each millet, and carotenoids are higher in finger millet, pearl millet, and sorghum. And there are several mineral components, especially the magnesium and others, which are essential for our many of the enzyme activities in our body. And ragi is a richer source of calcium. It contains almost 400 milligram% of calcium. So the millets are definitely unique as compared to refined polished white rice. And this is again too technical. This is about the recommendatory dietary allowance coverage by millets. And I have taken proso millet as an example. We came across a millet, a proso millet with a higher protein content and mineral content. And we did observe that by consuming 100 gram of unpolished proso millet, this kind of a variety, it can provide coverage up to 40% of the requirement for protein, magnesium, iron, and zinc in our daily diets. And these are all the nutritional highlights of millets. Like other cereals, millets contain 60 to 70% of carbohydrates. And there are several varieties of millets, especially jowar, bajra, proso, foxtail, and little millets, which have higher protein content as compared to polished white rice. Polished white rice may contain 6 to 7% of protein, 7 grams of protein. That means 100 gram of uncooked rice can provide 6 to 7 gram of protein, while these kind of millets can provide almost 12 to 13% of proteins. And definitely millets are a richer source of dietary fiber, which white rice is lacking. And but millets are deficient in soluble fiber, and soluble fiber are more effective than insoluble fiber in terms of regulating the blood sugar levels, and also the blood cholesterol lowering properties are mainly due to the soluble fibers. So we generally recommend millets to be consumed along with foods that are rich in soluble fiber. And millet proteins are rich in sulfur-containing amino acids and can complement other plant proteins. And as mentioned earlier, finger millet is very contains higher levels of calcium. And colored millets, like pigmented millet varieties, are rich source of phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are the chemical constituents, plant chemicals that possesses several health beneficial properties. And there are several biofortified varieties. Biofortified varieties nothing but the fortification or the improving the nutritional property of the crop through several agronomic and biotechnological approaches. Like the agricultural scientists work towards improvement of the crop nutritional properties by adopting several advanced contemporary techniques, such as several modern breeding approaches, and also by innovative cultivation approaches in order to improve the protein and mineral contents. And there are several millet varieties that have been identified with several unique health beneficial properties. And when we go through the literature, scientific literature, there are several health beneficial properties which have been reported in literature, reported for millets. And starting from the antioxidant or antimicrobial, it can provide protection against pathological microorganisms, and it can prevent protein glycation. Protein glycation is one of the complications of diabetes, where higher circulation of glucose levels in the blood starts modifying the proteins, which are detrimental to health. And so several millet phytochemicals have been known to possess the protein glycation prevention properties. And there are phytochemicals from millets which can inhibit enzymes which are known to regulate blood sugar levels. And there are studies which shows the anti-cancer properties of finger millet phytochemicals. And there are several peptides. Peptides are components of protein. They are short chains of amino acids with several beneficial properties. And several bioactive millet peptides have been identified and reported to have several health beneficial properties. And the millet fibers have also been shown to have prebiotic properties. Prebiotic is the property that can help help the gut to grow more health beneficial microorganisms. And so currently we are facing the nutritional insecurity because 21st century is posing several challenges, starting from the population growth, and also we face climate changes, and also we are experiencing water scarcity, and there is an increase in food price, all of which are creating a threat to agriculture and food security globally, not only in India. And we are also facing the triple burden of malnutrition. In the sense, we see obesity on the other hand, and also micronutrient deficiency and undernutrition on the other hand, all of which are impacting the productivity of Indians and impacting the economic growth of the country. And why do we need millets in Indian diet? Because nutrition insecurity is mainly due to the cereals that we consume in our diet. Because as South Indians, we consume almost 50% of the daily calories are derived from fiber depleted white rice. And this kind of a fiber depleted white rice is hello. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. I request the participants to mute your mics. Sorry, ma'am. You can proceed.
Okay. So, as mentioned, white rice is starchy and it is fiber depleted. It doesn't have much protein or micronutrients, and majority of our diets are white rice based, and we consume a lot of fiber depleted white rice with less amounts of pulses and vegetables. And kind of a diet is known to increase the glycemic load. Glycemic load is a technical term that we use to express the quality of Indian diets. Especially high glycemic load contains higher metabolizable carbohydrates and are known to increase the blood sugar levels and are associated with increased risk for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. That's why we recommend people to consume lower glycemic load diets, and I would be explaining this in detail in my subsequent slides. And so in order to strengthen the current Indian diets, definitely millets are required, because millets are rich in dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals as compared to this fiber depleted white rice. And over and above, millets are climate resilient, and they are farmer friendly, and they leave lesser carbon print, and they are definitely helpful to improve the Indian diets. And so millets are also, as mentioned earlier, is a storehouse of several health beneficial nutraceuticals, which are not present in the current white rice based diets. And in order to understand the quality of millets that are available in Chennai, we conducted a small market survey in the year 2008. And we visited 100 outlets in Chennai, starting from the provision stores, hypermarkets, supermarkets, and pharmacies. And we withdrew samples and we evaluated them under microscope. And this is the outcome of the study. We almost identified several brands of millets being sold, and out of which hardly 2 to 3 or 4 retailers were selling unpolished millets, and several of them polished millets were carrying misleading claims like whole grains, rich in fiber, and diabetes friendly. And we tried to take the picture of observe these kind of market sold millets under microscope. And the first line shows the unpolished millets, which we prepared at MDRF. And the bottom line shows the polished millets, which are entirely different. And you can clearly see how polished they are. And there is no bran or the germ, which are very nutritious in millets. And these kind of millets are pricey, and they are sold with several misleading claims. And these millets could be definitely nutritionally inferior, similar to white rice. And so if one chooses to incorporate millets, and they should be aware of the morphological features of unpolished millets to include them in the diet. And this is again a microscopic image which I have shown. And this is a proso millet. This is the panivaragu, which is observed under a fluorescence microscope, where the highly brilliant blue regions are the beneficial phytochemicals in millets. And these kind of millets means phytochemicals would disappear on polishing, because most of the beneficial phytochemicals are present in the peripheral layers of the grain. So hence we might lose all these kind of beneficial constituents upon polishing. And so there are no systematic studies on the impact of polishing on millets, as there are several studies available on rice. There are not much studies available on millets. And to conduct a systematic study, we are collaborating with the Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad, and they are providing us the minor millets, which I mentioned earlier, the 5 kinds of millets. We are using foxtail, little, kodo, barnyard, and proso millet, and we are polishing them, and we are also estimating the degree of polish. And also we are trying to evaluate the nutritional properties of these kind of polished millets, and the results are interesting. And we did observe, and these are the unpolished and polished millets. Like you can see the foxtail, little, kodo millet in the top line row is, they are the unpolished millets, and the bottom line are the polished millets. And these are actually the barnyard and proso. And we could find that the polishing, it's like similar to white rice. Polishing increases the glycemic or the metabolizable carbohydrate levels, and definitely decreases proteins, minerals, and dietary fiber and phytochemicals. And polishing is also known to decrease the phytate content, which is an anti-nutrient. And because the phytate is known to bind minerals, and they say they cause mineral deficiency. So, but this kind of polishing is known to reduce the phytate. And they are definitely nutritionally inferior, similar to white rice. And so when we process millets, definitely they impact the nutritional properties of millets. So when we germinate millets, they form very good weaning foods and infant foods. Like they are highly digestible, and most of the minerals and vitamins and proteins are highly bioavailable when we germinate millets. That's why most of the weaning foods prepared by our grandmothers, they involve germination. They germinate different millets, and they incorporate pulses along with millets in order to balance the amino acid profile, and also they include a lot of nuts. We might have seen during ancient times, and even today, a lot of even the grandmothers, they prepare the weaning food, and they make excellent millet. They make excellent weaning foods. And now there are several contemporary technologies that are being applied to millets. Like there are breakfast cereals which are available, and mueslis are available, and several instant foods, and there are several low-fat snacks are emerging from millets. And each of these processing uh, processing is known to impact the nutritional properties of millets, and it is very essential to understand the impact of processing on millets. For example, if it is polishing, definitely it is going to remove the dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals and proteins. And when we ferment millet, definitely we have a better bioavailability of micronutrients, as the microorganisms hydrolyze the dietary fiber and other, it releases several health beneficial phytochemicals and also vitamins and minerals. They increase the bioavailability. And there are several studies available on these aspects. And we recently contributed for a chapter in this wonderful book on millets. And there are several nutritional special traits in the millets that can be utilized, like rice. Like we can identify the millet varieties with amylose and amylopectin. This is a bit technical. Like starch contains two different constituents, namely the amylose and amylopectin, and these will have different functional properties. So any millet with a higher amylose content are less digestible and can be used for specialty foods for population with diabetes, as they digest slowly. And if we identify varieties with higher resistant starch content, and they can be used in low glycemic or the foods, functional foods for population with diabetes. And there is a need to identify varieties with higher dietary fiber content, especially if we can identify varieties with higher soluble fiber content, it will be definitely be useful. And there are high protein varieties, and we came across few varieties in millets, and these kind of high protein varieties could be utilized in health food, dental food. Hello. Hello.
Students are requested to mute your mics, please. Sorry, ma'am. Please proceed, ma'am.
Okay. So these are all the special nutritional traits in millets that can be exploited like other cereals. And so moving on, why do we need, what is the need for millets in Indian diet? I had already explained, and there is a consensus dietary guideline which was published in the year 2011 for the general well-being and also for the prevention of obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes and related disorders, where there is a clear mention that we'll have to include a lot of whole grain cereals and pulses, and also low glycemic index foods. And these are not only helpful for people with diabetes, or we Indians have higher risk for diabetes. We are Asian Indians, and we are Asian Indian phenotypes who have higher risk for type 2 diabetes. We have higher propensity for insulin resistance. That's why we recommend foods with lower glycemic properties for all. So in this context, and I'm just skipping, these are all about diabetes. And so moving on to this terminology, let us get acquainted with the glycemic index and glycemic load. This is a bit technical, but however, the glycemic index is a scale which ranks foods based on their ability to raise the blood sugar levels. So any food that has a lower glycemic index, we have three categories of glycemic index, which is the low, medium, and high GI. So any food that is a low or medium is good. So hence we recommend low glycemic index foods. And as mentioned earlier, glycemic load is a combination of glycemic index and also the available carbohydrate, the carbohydrate or the metabolizable carbohydrate content in a food. So any food that has a lower glycemic load is highly beneficial. And this is recommended for all. Low glycemic index foods are recommended for all, not only for people with diabetes. And if we see the factors affecting this glycemic index of foods, it will depend on the nature of the starch present in the food, and also the quality of fiber more than the quantity. So if the food contains higher soluble fiber, then definitely the food may raise the blood sugar level to a lower extent as compared to the foods with the higher insoluble fiber content. And particle size, finer the flour we grind, higher will be the blood sugar response for that kind of a food. And any porridge we boil to a high, when we boil a porridge with a finely ground flour, that is going to raise the blood sugar levels. And even if it is going to be a millet porridge, definitely the blood sugar levels will be very high. So that's why we recommend millets porridges to be consumed along with ingredients that contain higher soluble fiber levels, maybe something like fenugreek, oats, barley, and also pulses. Pulses, they have slow digesting carbohydrates. They contain higher levels of amylose, and also the protein matrix is highly favorable, so that it doesn't raise the blood sugar level that easily. And also the method of cooking is going to make a difference. We cook the food to a mashy texture. For example, if we cook rice to a mashy texture, it is going to raise the blood sugar levels compared to the food that is cooked in the intact green form. And also the degree of processing. For example, if we are trying to prepare flakes for food technologists and others, if we consume a thick flake, then the glycemic response may be lower as compared to the flake that is very thin. And in the context of a meal, the blood sugar level response will depend on the composition of the meal. And if we consume high fatty foods, the blood sugar levels may not rise that great, but definitely the calorific value will be very high. And these are all the cutoff values for the glycemic index and glycemic load. So any value higher than 70 is going to be a high GA food, and any value lesser than 55 is a low glycemic index foods. And we also have cutoffs for the glycemic load. And so why do we worry about the glycemic index and glycemic load of food is that it creates higher insulin demand in the pancreas. Pancreas contains beta cells which secrete insulin, and insulin regulates our blood sugar level. So when we keep on consuming high glycemic load or high glycemic index foods, with time, it causes beta cell exhaustion, and means it at one point of time, beta cells refuses to secrete insulin, or the insulin that is secreted by the beta cells will not be effective enough to control the blood sugar levels, and ultimately they lead to type 2 diabetes. That is the reason we recommend low glycemic load diets for Indians, as we have higher risk for type 2 diabetes already. And these are all the factors that affect the blood sugar raising property of millets. And as mentioned earlier, the varietal characteristics of millets, and also the method of processing. Sometimes there are innovative parboiling methods, and also we should not grind millets to very fine flour. And if at all we have to prepare a roti or something, we may combine other ingredients that can lower the blood sugar levels. We can include fenugreek and debitterized versions of fenugreek, that is the methis, are available now. And also there are several soluble fibers, and we can include a lot of oats and barley, and also a lot of pulses can be included in millet flours to prepare preparations that are flour based in millets. And the form of food is also very important. So any food that is consumed in the grain form is going to raise the blood sugar level slowly as compared to flour based preparations. And even the degree of chewing is going to impact the blood sugar response to a particular food. And this is again a research that we recently conducted, and we found that the rotis, finely ground rotis out of the millets, are classified under high GI, but doesn't mean that we are not recommending these kind of rotis. These are definitely nutritious. The message from this research work is that we must include a lot of pulses along with these kind of foods, and should be consumed in moderation. And whole grain pulses based accompaniments like pulse rajma gravy or something like that is going to reduce the glycemic response for these kind of millet based, flour based, millet based meals. And these are all the glycemic index values, like finger millet dumplings or the finger millet balls showed a very high GI, but one of the clinical trials showed that when finger millet balls were consumed with whole grain pulse based gravy, it showed the least blood sugar response. And sorghum idli, we prepared using sorghum grits, bigger sized grits prepared from jowar, which showed a medium glycemic index. And so this is again some of the products that we developed at Madras Diabetes Research Foundation. The first one is the vermicelli, where we have used some kind of a soluble fiber, and also we have utilized defatted soy flour, which is again incorporated to the finger millet ragi flour to prepare this vermicelli. And we have also prepared a snack which is lower in fat content using extrusion technology. This is a contemporary technology wherein you can produce ready to eat snacks which can have lower fat content. These are not deep fried. And we have used fenugreek fiber isolated from this methi seeds, making this is again a medium glycemic index product. And they had very low fat content and higher dietary fiber, soluble fiber content. And we also wanted to understand the blood sugar raising property of a finger millet based diet as compared to white rice based diet. So we recruited human volunteers who they were normal volunteers, and we provided them either the finger millet based diet or white rice based diet. And definitely finger millet based diet had higher dietary fiber content and they were nutritious, and we had similar preparations in both the arms. And we used a small continuous glucose monitoring sensor which is inserted in the lower abdomen, which is shown in the picture. And this sensor will sense the interstitial glucose concentrations. And these interstitial glucose is nothing, it's not exactly the blood, it is the interstitial fluid glucose concentration, which is highly correlating to the blood glucose levels. And this provides the glucose value every 5th minute. And we made the participants to consume either the finger millet diet or the white rice based diet for 5 days. And this sensor continuously captures the glucose levels. And these were the food items provided to the participants. Every single recipe or the food from in the rice arm had the similar preparation in the finger millet arm. And these are all the meal lunch preparations. And we had the tiffin dinner items. We had similar preparations in both the arms. And interesting finding is that we did not find any lower interstitial response, glucose response for finger millet diets, despite the higher fiber levels. And but this clearly shows that definitely finger millet is nutritious than white rice, but probably we may have to include a lot of legumes and other soluble fiber ingredients in order to achieve a significantly lower day-long glycemic response for this finger millet based diets. And definitely there is a prospect for favorably modifying the finger millet based food preparations by innovative approaches. And we found that when we had a deeper look or with the day-long glycemic response of finger millet diet, we found that finger millet balls, which showed a very high glycemic index when consumed along with the whole grain pulse-based gravy, showed the least glucose response. And also the polished finger millet, we had prepared a minimally polished finger millet. And that kind of rice showed high glycemic index. But when in the form of a meal, when it is consumed along with a lot of channa and also a lot of vegetables, showed the least glucose response. And also finger millet adai also did show a low glycemic response. And so we must remember that the glycemic index will vary from low to high, and definitely we should understand the glycemic properties of each kind of a preparation, and accordingly we should judiciously incorporate them in our day-to-day life. And we need to include a lot of pulses and vegetables along with millets in order to achieve a favorable lower glycemic response. And we felt there is a definite need for development of scientific evidence-based products for this population, and hence the Department of Diabetes Food Technology was evolved in the year 2021. And this is again from the literature I have taken. This is again a reformulation approach wherein they are trying to incorporate millets in bread, where they are trying to replace 30% of the wheat flour with finger millet. And such kind of approaches we have also been doing, like preparing several products out of millets. And so there are several approaches to develop products which may lead to low glycemic index foods. And one such important strategy is to reduce the carbohydrate in the food preparation or the product that we are trying to develop. And this can be achieved by increasing the dietary fiber content of the formula or the food. Like we can enhance the amount of vegetables and also soluble fiber sources in order to reduce the available carbohydrate content. Available carbohydrates are the carbohydrates which are metabolizable. And in fact, we can use a lot of protein isolates, or the protein that has been extracted from pulses or milk can be utilized in the formulation. And also another approach is to reduce the rate of digestion of foods. Like it doesn't mean that we have to prevent the digestion. It can slow down the digestion because we definitely need the energy from carbohydrates, and this can be achieved by modification of the food composition. So we add a variety with a higher amylose, or we include slow digesting carbohydrates. For example, pulses have slow digesting carbohydrates, and there are maybe varieties which will digest slower as compared to other existing normal crop varieties. And there are enzyme inhibitors which can help. Food-based enzyme inhibitors, even finger millet has got a lot of enzyme inhibitors, and those kind of enzyme inhibitors can be utilized in the preparation of such foods. And also there are several food matrix engineering approaches which can reduce the glycemic or the blood sugar raising property of the food. And we can retain the grain matrix to the possible extent. The moment we crush the grain in the form of a flour, it can increase the blood sugar response. So there are approaches to retain the grain matrix. And also there are approaches to reduce the absorption of digested carbohydrates. So we can include viscous soluble fibers to reduce the digestion as well as the absorption of the glucose in the intestine. So all these approaches can help in generation of food preparations or products with lower blood sugar raising properties. And these are the few products that we have been developing at Madras Diabetes Research Foundation. And we have been successful to develop finger millet noodles, which is a gluten-free grain. We have prepared a gluten-free noodles, and we have prepared biscuits and pastas. And also we have prepared a multigrain bread where we have used millets. And we have also prepared crackers, and these are the extruded snacks that we have developed at MDRF, and we have used a lot of fibers in these formulations. And also we have prepared in the form, and these contains lower fat content. And this is again, we are working with Indian Institute of Millet Research, and we have been developing biscuits. And these are porridges, because generally porridges raise the blood sugar level to a greater extent. And we have prepared a multigrain porridge where we have used a lot of soluble fibers, pulses, and legumes. And also we have developed pastas from sorghum or jowar. And this is again an analog rice. This is not exactly a rice, but this is a rice shaped flour. Like we prepare flour out of millets, and we include the ingredients of our choice, and we extrude them. And we prepare this synthetic rice. We call this is as a reconstituted rice or the synthetic rice. And so we have been successful preparing this kind of products. And this is again the kambu flakes or the bajra flakes, and which can be used similar to maize flakes, which is commonly consumed. And this is the muesli that we have recently developed, and we are going to test all these products for the glycemic index. And we have used a lot of innovative ingredients in order to achieve a lower glycemic response. And this is again the and ready to eat snack, cheese balls kind of a snack out of jowar. And this is again a pilaf, because we are working on a project with the Indian Institute of Millet and also the APIDA to prepare value-added products from millets with export potential. And they did want us to develop a multi-millet pilaf. This is again a convenience mix. You can cook this mix in water so that you get a multi-millet pilaf. And indeed, we have added a lot of fibers in these. And I would like to conclude with the following messages. Like, millets are definitely nutritious and can be a healthy replacement choice for white rice. And the glycemic properties can vary from low to high based on the preparation. And we need to understand the nutritional as well as the glycemic properties of millet so that it can be judiciously consumed in our daily diet. And most of the millets that we found in Chennai were highly polished, and there is a need to create awareness on the morphological features of unpolished millets. And definitely millets have to be consumed with lots of pulses and vegetables in order to achieve a good blood sugar response. And quality of fiber is more important rather than the quantity of the fiber in any meal. And consuming the millets in the grain form is more beneficial, and there is a definite need for change in the food environment, and collaboration between agricultural food scientists and health professionals would help improving the food environment. And finally, I would like to thank our funding agencies, government funding agencies, especially the Indian Council of Medical Research, Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences, and Indian Council of Medical Research, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and Indian Institute of Rice Research, and also the Department of Science and Technology, and our chairman, Dr. V. Mohan, Dr. Ranjana, and also the MDRF team who have been helpful and supportive for our research activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Students, you have any questions to ask, ma'am? Any queries, doubts? Okay, we will proceed to vote of thanks. I request Ms. Divya, Assistant Professor from the Department of Corporate Economics, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, it's been an honor to be present here and to present the vote of thanks for this webinar. On behalf of the entire WCC family, I thank each and every one of you who have been actively a part of today's webinar on the topic Millet, a Boon for All. We've been very fortunate to have with us Dr. S. Shobhana, Senior Scientist and Head, Department of Diabetes Food Technology, for this session. The session was indeed informative and inspirational for all of us. All through our years, we've heard the very famous phrase, health is wealth. But ma'am, today, after hearing your lecture, your webinar, I've finally figured out a way through which we can prioritize our health through small changes in our diet. I also take this opportunity to thank the organizing team, that is Dr. Sheila John, Head of the Department PG, Dr. Mary Pramila, Head of the Department UG, Dr. D. Annette Beatrice from the Department of Home Science, Dean of Students, Ms. Sharmila Christie, ma'am, for organizing such an informative webinar, especially to understand the benefits of millets altogether. To know that we have an alternative source of dietary fiber altogether that is richer than all the current grains that we consume, to know that 100 grams of a millet fiber can actually satisfy 40% of our requirements in proteins, minerals, and vitamins. This is something that is very new and something that I think we all should incorporate with respect to our diets altogether. Diabetes and cholesterols have been the problems that have been affecting majority of us that we know personally in our family, our friends. And by explaining the scientific, the health beneficial properties with respect to millets, Shobhana ma'am, you have helped us understand how by making small dietary changes, we can make ourselves address a bigger challenge, that is nutritional insecurity that the world is facing right now. Micronutrient deficiency is something that all of us in the country are facing in terms of our difficulties. I would thank you for actually showing us and making us aware with respect to the millet survey that you had presented on how, in spite of being health conscious, we are not consuming with respect to the health requirements that we need altogether. All the points that you said, ma'am, have been noted down. We definitely hope the Department of Home Science, along with the faculties of WCC College, actually put forward a platform wherein we can personally have you here with us so that we can be more aware with respect to how we can change small dietary changes and focus on our health, because eventually health is wealth. I extend my gratitude to you, ma'am, for taking out time from your busy schedule to teach us about the importance of millets. Thank you for showing us through various comparisons and various research, authenticated research on the benefits of millets altogether. I also thank the organizing team, the volunteers, all the people, the faculties, the staffs, all of whom have been associated with respect to making this webinar a big success. Thank you all. I especially thank the students for patiently being here on time and receiving the benefits of ma'am's lecture. I hope each and every one of us here who have attended the lecture today would make simultaneous changes in our dietary changes altogether. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Can I leave, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, thank you. Students, please switch on your cameras, those who are in the platform. Please unmute your videos, ma. We would like to have a screenshot. Just unmute your video. Girls, please unmute your videos, no? We can't see many of you. Just for a screenshot, please unmute. Everybody out there. PCT, CMC. CMC is here. Viscom is here. Corporate economics. Okay, you can leave the platform, girls. Thank you.